Hello, thank you for joining me. Today's yoga session will explore Ida and Pingala. Ida is the feminine, Pingala is the masculine energy. In modern science, we talk about the sympathetic parasympathetic system. The sympathetic nerves accelerate heart rate, move blood into the muscles, the brain, the heart, prepare you for action, fight, flight. The parasympathetic nervous system lowers heart rate, lowers blood pressure, and it diverts the energy into the abdominal cavity, the liver, the pancreas, the digestion, the kidneys, all the processes we need to be healthy in the long run. So this balance between Ida and Pingala, masculine and feminine, between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system will be our topic for today. Generally speaking, yoga is designed to balance the two. We want to stimulate them, wake them up, get them working, and then bring them into balance. So we'll explore 3 different ways that we can shift that balance towards the masculine or towards the feminine. So probably the most dramatic is manipulation of posture. When we round the back forward, when we drop the head, and when we round the low back, like prayer pose or in cat-cow, that position activates the parasympathetic nervous that leave the sacrocranial and the neck area. So the cervical sacrocranial, where these nerves are located, and in a pose like child's pose with the head down, rounding the back, has a calming effect on the nervous system. Mid-thoracic region is where the sympathetic nerves exit, and so if I take the sympathetic nervous system, the mid-thoracic, into a back bend, this brings up warrior energy. So there's a second way that we can begin to explore, and the second most effective is the rhythm of our breathing. If I make the inhale long and the exhale short, this moves us into masculine energy or warrior energy. I'll breathe with my mouth so you can hear. Okay, long inhale, forced exhale, warrior energy. If I reverse it and emphasize the exhale, I breathe in a little faster and then stretch the exhale. That shifts us into relaxation, into Ida, in that balance between the two. And then the third way that we can play with this is the left and right nostril. And the left nostril and the right nostril correspond to Ida in Pingala. The masculine is on the right side, or your right nostril, and the feminine is on your left nostril. So when we used to talk about biorhythms, when we are in a more relaxed state, there's a tendency for the left nostril to be more open. And when we are in a more alert, more awake and more energized state, there's a tendency for the right nostril to be more open. The yogis noticed this many years ago, thousands of years ago, and they began doing exercises like alternate nostril breathing, where they would begin to see if they could flip it around, and by controlling which nostril is open or closed, whether that had an effect on the balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic, and they found that it did. So let's get started. Find a comfortable seated position, draw the flesh out, reach the sit bones back, tilt the pelvis forward, and then lifting through the waist, through the sternum, through the collarbones, broaden the shoulders, release the shoulder blades, float the chest. Close your eyes and take a moment to notice your breathing diaphragmatically down into the low abdomen, maybe even the pelvic floor and the small of your back. Allow the chest to remain passive. Now experiment just with your breathing to start with. Breathe in for 6, out for 4. Couple more breaths. Notice subtle effect. It won't be pronounced, but you may notice a subtle shift into a little bit more energized, externally focused mind. Now flip it around and breathe in for 4, out for 6. Make your exhale longer. One more breath. And coming back to center. Okay. So we'll revisit that in a few minutes. Let's open up with a twist, leading with the right shoulder. Reaching the right arm behind you, crossing the left hand over the opposite knee. Lift, expand, rotate. Breathing deeply. With a complete breath now. Breathe into the belly, the pelvic floor, the kidneys, and then continue to breathe into the mid and upper back, and then the chest, and finally into the collarbones. Take a couple more deep breaths. Coming back to center, switching sides, leading with the left hand reaching back, crossing the right hand over. Lift, expand, broaden, and rotate. And again, a complete breath. Breathing into the belly, pelvic floor, kidneys, up the back, into the chest, and then up into the collarbones. Couple more deep, complete breaths. Coming back to center. Circling with the ribs. And reversing. And then rolling out the shoulders. And then cat-cow. So cat-cow is designed, is a very simple way of balancing out Ida in Pingala, because it combines and alternates between forward bending and back bending. Starting in table. On your next exhale, lift the pelvic floor, tuck the tailbone, round low back, mid back, upper back, tuck the chin, push your hands away and exhale. And then as you breathe in, lift the tailbone, lower the belly, open the chest, and look up, and pull with your hands slightly. On your own, continuing. Now you'll notice that the inhale is associated with warrior energy, and we breathe in as we're coming into that back bend. And the exhale is associated with relaxation, and as we round the back into a forward bend, we're exhaling. So we're combining the effects of the breath with the effects of the movement to massage the nervous system and to bring the nervous system into balance. Stimulating and balancing Ida and Pingala. And then back to neutral. Next we'll come up into camel. So kneeling with your knees hip width apart. And this is going to emphasize the Pingala, the masculine energy. And remember, it's the mid-thoracic region that we want to get most action in. So lengthening up, then leading with the right shoulder, quarter turn. Place your right hand on the pelvis or on the thigh, or if you prefer, reach for the foot. And then float the left arm. Take your left, not your hand, but your shoulder, left shoulder, or even better, the shoulder blade back. And at the same time, take your belly forward, your chest forward and up. Now try to adjust so you bring more action into the mid-thoracic region. So you're feeling most of the action in the middle of the back, not the low back. Take a breath or two. And come up. Quarter turn to the left. Left hand to the sacrum, thigh or heel. Float the right arm. Take the right shoulder blade and shoulder back. Take the chest forward and up. And once again, make small adjustments until you feel the action centering in the mid to upper back. Especially the area around the shoulder blades. One more breath. And then coming back down to table, gentle cat-cow. And then child's pose, extended child's pose. Take your knees wide, feet closer. Sink your hips back a little bit. Walk your hands forward a little bit. Lower the head. Any version, any variation is fine. Arms behind you, interlaced behind your back or extended. And then focus on breathing, stretching the exhale slightly, maybe a 4-6 rhythm. Breathe in for 4, out for 6. And in this position, it's all about relaxing, about letting go, letting gravity take over. The more relaxed the body, the more gravity can adjust and work through the muscles and the joints and the bones and the ligaments and the tendons. 2 or 3 breaths. Coming back up to your hands and knees. A couple more cat-cows. And then a standing forward bend. Tuck the toes under, walk the hands in close, lift the knees. Hands on your thighs or your shins, or hang into a forward bend. Both knees bent a little. Straighten the left leg just enough to move the stretch into the left leg. Bend the left knee. Move the stretch into the right leg. Go side to side. Allowing the muscles in the back of the legs to warm up slowly. Not trying to rush or strain. Come back to center. Take another breath or two.
Sink the belly, lift the tailbone, just enough to maintain a gentle stretch. And then when you're ready, roll up, letting the knees buckle, stacking the vertebrae. Hatha Yoga Sun Salutation, feet hip width, outer edges parallel. From prayer, sweep up, lift the pelvic floor, firm the abdomen, lift the chest forward and up, take the shoulders back, look up slightly, keeping the back of the neck long, breathe in, reach your hips back and come down either halfway or all the way, exhale. As you roll up, buckle the knees as your hands pass the kneecaps, stack the vertebra, and once again, stretch overhead on the inhale, release into the forward bend on the exhale. 5 or 6 more repetitions. Once again, we're combining the back bend with the inhale, forward bend with the exhale, to get the full effect on the nervous system. On your next overhead stretch, hold. Lift the left heel, flare the right ribs. Lift the right heel, flare the left ribs, go side to side. A little bit of a back bend. Supported forward bend. Take a breath or two. And lean into a little deeper stretch for a breath or two. And then roll back up. And coming to the front of your mat. Coming to the front of your mat for 12-step sun salutation. Sweep overhead as you breathe in. Forward bend on the exhale. Right foot back, deep lunge. Hold your breath for just a moment in plank. On the exhale, pressing down. On the inhale, cobra. On the exhale, downward facing dog. If you struggle with the next transition, first set the left knee on the floor, lift the right hand, and then step the right foot all the way up to the front of your mat. Lunge on the inhale. Standing forward bend as you breathe out. Overhead stretch as you breathe in. Back to center. Second side. Sweep overhead on the inhale. Forward bend on the exhale. Left foot stepping back. Right foot following. Exhale as you come down. Inhale into cobra. Exhale into down dog. Left foot stepping through. Big lunge as you breathe in. Forward bend as you breathe out. Overhead stretch. On the inhale, back to center. If you lost ground, walk back up to the front of your mat. 2 more repetitions. This time we'll hold cobra and down dog a little longer. Sweeping up on the inhale. Swan dive on the exhale. Right foot back on the inhale. Hold your breath in plank. Exhale as you come down to the floor. Hold cobra. Press the feet down, reach the chest forward, roll the shoulders up, off the floor. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, draw the shoulder blades down the back, reach the chest forward. Take a breath or two. Really activating the muscles in the mid, lower mid, and upper back. Downward facing dog. Alternate legs. Bend the left knee, reach the right heel down, lift the arch, lift the shin, the kneecap, the quadricep. So the right leg is active. Bend the right knee, reach the left heel down, lift the arch, lift the shin, lift the kneecap. Go side to side, couple more times. Make sure if you're getting any stretch in the calf that it's healthy and pleasant, not unpleasant. And then both legs together. Pull the chest through, spiral the arms, take a breath or two. Step the right foot all the way up. Lunge on the inhale. Standing forward bend on the exhale. Stretch overhead on the inhale. Back to center, last repetition. Sweep up on the inhale. Forward bend on the exhale. Left foot stepping back for a deep lunge. Right foot following into plank. Coming all the way down to the floor. On the inhale, shrug the shoulders, lift, roll the shoulders back, reach the chest forward as you come up into cobra. Pressing down with the tops of the feet. Focus on the quality of action in the low, mid, and upper back. If you feel one area of the back working harder, another area not working, see if you can adjust to spread the action out through the entire back. One more breath. Downward facing dog. Pull the chest through towards your feet. Float the shoulder blades away from your feet. If you remember how to spiral the legs and spiral the arms, you can add that. 2 or 3 more breaths. Stepping the left foot up on an inhale. Right foot up on the exhale. Overhead stretch as you breathe in. Back to center. Stepping your feet wide, Trikonasana. Turn the left foot out, turn the right foot in. Shift your hips to the right, tilt the pelvis. Spiral the left leg. Lengthen the lower rib cage. Roll the shoulders back, open the heart. Right hand on the hip or float the right arm. Now balance, inhale and exhale with a 4-4. This pose is somewhere in the middle. It's a fairly balanced pose. It doesn't favor the masculine or the feminine. And so we balance the breath. Couple more breaths on the first side. And then switching sides. Turn the right foot out. 90 degrees. Turn the left heel in. Shift your hips to the left. Tilt the pelvis. Spiral the right leg. Lengthen the back of the right leg. And keep the right rib cage long. Roll the shoulders back. Open the chest. Left hand on the hip or float the arm. Bringing your attention now to your breathing with a 4-4 rhythm, balancing inhale and exhale. Two or three more breaths. Up on an inhale, and then feet wide, turn pigeon-toed, and releasing into a forward bend. Hands on your thighs, or if you prefer, you can reach for the floor. Now stretch the exhale. Make your exhale a little longer, and find your own rhythm. So maybe it's a 4-5 or 4-6 or 4-7 or 3-5. Just make your exhale longer than the inhale, and then adjust and experiment to find the most relaxing, calming rhythm of exhale. Couple more breaths. Stepping your feet together, roll back up. So now working with Virabhadrasana 2. Step the feet wide. Turn the left foot out, turn the right foot in. Bend the left knee, stop it vertical when it's directly above the heel. If that's too easy, walk your foot away from you, and then lunge a little deeper, once again bringing the knee over the heel. Then straighten the spine. Bring your shoulders directly above your hips. Straighten the back leg, strengthen the back leg, sink into the back hip. Float the arms, drop the shoulders, open the heart, turn just your head, gazing out past the left fingertips to the horizon. Now if you remember how to spiral both legs and lift the pelvic floor and firm the abdomen, go ahead and add that. And then put your emphasis on the inhale, 6-4. Breathing in for 6, out for 4. And use that rhythm to find an internal strength. As you breathe into the lower areas, mid areas, and then into the upper back, and then into the upper chest as well. Finish in the upper chest and collarbones. Couple more breaths, breathing in for 6, out for 4. Switch sides. Turn the right foot out 90 degrees. Lift the left heel, take it wide, set it down. Bend the right knee, stop it vertical, widen your stance if that was too easy. Square up shoulders with hips, straighten the back leg, strengthen the back leg, sink into the back hip. Now spiral both legs. On the right leg, lengthen the inner thigh, contract the outer thigh so the knee swings out. And on the left leg, lift and externally rotate the thigh until you feel both hip sockets opening slightly. Float the arms, drop the shoulders, open the heart, turn your head. Gaze out past the fingertips to the horizon. Now once again, turn your attention to the breathing. In for 6, with a deep, complete breath, out for 4. Use each inhalation to summon warrior energy. Three or four more breaths. One more breath. Forward bend, feet wide, turn pigeon-toed. Come down part way, pause, and decide whether to stay here with your hands supporting weight or to release and hang into a deeper stretch. Now this time, rather than counting, in order to lengthen the exhale like a 4-6 or 5-7, instead, allow the exhale to be longer but without counting. Instead of counting, focus on shaping the exhale into a perfect sigh. Not by the way it sounds, but by how it feels. Can you shape the exhale into a feeling of surrender, of letting go? 3 or 4 breaths. Stepping your feet together, rolling back up to standing. So at the beginning of class, we mentioned 3 ways to shift between Ida and Pingala. The manipulation of the spine, directly affecting the nervous system. The manipulation of the inhalation versus exhale, lengthening or shortening the exhale, and then left versus right nostril, which is the most subtle. There is another way though, and that is just with your eyes and with your face and with your intention. If you've ever seen a parent and their child did something they shouldn't do, that they shouldn't do again, and the parent wants to scold them, but it was actually quite funny what their kid did. And sometimes you'll see them, despite the fact that they're wanting to laugh, and inside they're laughing, they'll still bring up that parent energy, that hard look in their eyes, and that firmness in their voice, firmness in their breath. They pull that out of nowhere, not because they're actually feeling it initially, but because they summon it. Okay? So, in our last standing pose, Virabhadrasana 1, with your mind, with your attitude, warrior energy, with your breath, long inhale, short exhale, and then with your posture, really trying to open up, not the low back, keep your abdomen engaged, keep your low back firm, and then try to open the mid-thoracic into a little bit of a back bend, taking the shoulders back, okay? Taking the chest forward, keeping the abdomen firm. Let's give that a try. Stepping your feet wide, turn the left foot out, turn the right foot in. Lunge, bending the left knee. Widening your stance if you need to make it more challenging. We're going to allow the back heel to float, which makes this a balancing pose. So first, lift your heel and then find your balance. Then,
rotate your hips all the way, and then find your balance again. Place both hands on your front thigh, straighten the back leg, and reach the back heel towards the floor, but bring the hip forward. So the leg is lengthening. The hip is rotating forward as the heel reaches back. Now with your hands on your thigh, pull your belly back, lift the pelvic floor, firm the abdomen, lift the chest. Draw the shoulders back. Only then float the arms overhead. Take not your hands, but your shoulder blades back, your chest forward and up. And now 6, 4. Breathe in for 6. Draw the breath in with authority, out for 4. And then that warrior expression. Firm eyes. Firm face. If you get tired, play, dance, roll the shoulders out, and then rejoin us. 5 or 6 more breaths. As you start to fatigue, put more emphasis on the breath. Using the breath, using the face, using the posture to summon energy. Couple more big breaths. And then stepping up into Tadasana. Bring your breath back to balance. 4, 4. Now coming into Virabhadrasana 1 on the second side. Nice deep lunge, bend the front knee, lift the back heel, find your balance, rotate your hips, find your balance again. Hands on your thigh, sink your hips, lift the pelvic floor, pull the belly back, lift the chest, draw the shoulders back, then float the arms overhead. Reaching back through the front back heel, reaching forward to the front knee. Shoulder blades back and down, chest forward and up, abdomen firm. 6, 4. Draw the breath in with authority. Push the breath out to make room for the next inhale. Think about the exhale as just setting up for the inhale. Let it be all about the importance of the inhalation. 4 or 5 more breaths. Remember, play. If you get into trouble, come out. Couple more breaths. Back to Tadasana, and then coming down part way into a forward bend, supported. Now flip it around, stretch the exhale. Breathe in order to be able to breathe out. If you feel the low back release, work your way a little further into the forward bend. Four or 5 more breaths, stretching the exhale. One more breath, stretch the exhale, lean into the stretch a little deeper, and then roll up, letting the knees buckle, stacking the vertebrae. And we'll do one more standing pose, this time a balance pose. If you aren't sure, tree pose, just lift one heel, or bring the foot to the ankle, or bring the heel up to the groin, whichever variation feels right to you. If you prefer dancer, eagle, Virabhadrasana 2 or 3, or half moon, any pose that involves balance is fine. First, focus on your breath and find a 4-4. Now, make the inhalation and exhalation even, both in terms of the rhythm, breathing in for 4, out for 4, but also make it equivalent in your mind in importance. Let the inhale be just as important as the exhale every bit as important as the next inhale. Holding on to that, pick a drishti, a focal point, find something you can stare at on the distant wall. Spread the toes on the right foot, shift your weight to the right, lift the left heel, find your balance and either stay here or work your way a little further into your pose. Now, let your emphasis be not on holding the pose itself, but on maintaining the quality of your breathing. Make the breath smooth and fluid, the inhale and exhale even in the rhythm and in the quality. Couple more breaths. Float your arms, float your legs, shake out. Come back to Tadasana. Spread the toes on the left foot. Bring your attention back to the breathing. Without compromising the breath, even in the smallest way, maintaining perfect quality of breath as you begin to shift your weight to the left and lift the right heel. If you're feeling a little wobbly, keep your big toe on the ground until you feel stillness. Focus your eyes and your mind on a distant point. Float the heel to the ankle, or if you prefer, bring the heel up to your groin, or any other balance pose you prefer. If you get into trouble with your balance, lower your arms halfway, out to either side, and see if you can use your arms to help recover. If you're feeling stillness, extend the arms overhead. 5 or 6 more breaths. Couple more breaths. Back to Tadasana. Walking your way down into a forward bend. Take a breath or two. Coming down to the floor, next working with a back roll. If you have a back roll, go ahead and grab it. If you don't, you can use a blanket rolled up as tight as possible. Remember, if you unroll the blanket, it gets easier. If you roll it up further, it gets a little more intense. And we'll start with the blanket positioned underneath your shoulder blades at the upper edge of the shoulder blades. Arms extended or interlaced behind your neck. If you cannot relax, if anything at all feels unsafe or unpleasant, use a smaller roller. 3 or 4 breaths in the opening position. Place your slight emphasis on the exhale. When you're ready, lift your hips, push yourself over the top of the roller an inch, set your hips down, and then return your focus to breathing and relaxing. Stretch the exhale slightly and use that emphasis on the exhale to relax. Two or 3 breaths. And then moving again, lifting the hips, pushing yourself over the roller. The roller should be in the lower area of the shoulder blades, the bottom tip of the shoulder blades now. If you're new to the back roll, remember, in each position you may find it a little too easy or a little too intense. So be sure to adjust the roller if you need to, unrolling it to make it less strenuous. Go for 3 more minutes, slowly working your way down the spine, moving the roller into the middle of the back, just below the shoulder blades. Take a breath or two and then adjust. 2 minutes. If you're moving slowly, you should be a little over halfway down the spine. If you find that you're finishing a little earlier, just go back to a favorite spot. Ten or 15 more breaths to finish up. Take 3 or 4 more breaths. When you're finished, lift the hips, remove the roller. Keeping your hips off the ground, see if you can lift one foot off the ground without losing your balance, and then hug that knee into your chest gently until you feel the pelvis tilting. Set the kidneys on the floor, hug the second knee in, rock side to side. Now we're going to work next with pigeon pose, but we'll come into it a little differently. Hold on to the right knee, straighten the left leg out and away from you. And then we're going to roll to the right until the knee is on the floor. And then take the foot and move the right foot away from you a little bit more, depending on how flexible you are. Continue rolling with your hips and your chest until you're in pigeon pose. The right knee is under you. The right foot is out to the side slightly. Make sure that the knee joint
feels safe. If there's any sensations in the knee joint, back off, reposition, and try again until you find a position that actually feels healthy and pleasant. Stretch the exhale. We'll just hold here for 5 or 6 or 7 more breaths, and because our emphasis here is on stretching, we want to emphasize relaxation, and that means stretching the exhale, not just stretching the exhale, but emphasizing it with our mind. Breathe in order to be able to breathe out, and with our face, soften the eyes. Smile with the eyes, smile with the face, smile with the endocrine system, and stretch the exhale into a sigh. Three or 4 more breaths. Now, move your hips to the right and set them on the floor, and then lower your right shoulder to the floor and roll all the way over onto your back. Bring your left knee into your chest, straighten the right leg. Continue rolling until your left knee touches the floor. Move your left foot away from you a little bit, and then continue to rotate, lifting the hips up and over. So you're in pigeon pose on the second side. Adjust by repositioning the right leg, the hips, the shoulders. Then focus on a longer exhale, softening, melting into the stretch. If the stretch is too intense, your mind and your body will resist and tighten, which is the opposite of what we're looking for here. So if you need to, ease up on the stretch. Walking the right knee forward into the right a little bit until the stretch becomes more acceptable, and then focus on relaxing into that. On the other hand, if it's too easy, walk the right knee back and to the left. 3 or 4 breaths. Stretch the exhale into a sigh. And then roll your hips to the left. Lower your left shoulder to the floor. Roll all the way onto your back. Hug both knees. Rock side to side. And then coming into Shavasana. The knees can stay bent, or you can straighten the legs as long as the low back is happy with that decision. Shoulder blades draw together and down. Back of the neck long. The heart open, the armpits open, the groin open. Take 3 or 4 breaths, emphasizing the inhale with the 6-4. Summoning energy from the inhale. Now balance the breath, 4-4, and focus on balancing the mind, the nervous system.
Now stretching the exhale. 4, 6. Relax the face, the jaws, the lips, the tongue, fingers, hands, arms, and shoulders. Feet, ankles, calves, knees, and thighs. Loosen hips, relax the buttocks. Blow back the belly, the kidneys, the ribs, the chest, the shoulders. Back of the neck and soften the throat. Jaws, the lips, the tongue, the mouth. And especially the eyes, the eyeballs, the space behind, beneath, around the eyes. The eyelids, the eyebrows, the forehead. Temples, soft and hollow. The scalp and the crown. Now notice when you let go of control, notice how your body chooses to breathe without interfering. Ever so slightly emphasize the inhale. Make it more significant and longer and deeper. Allow the ribs and chest to join. Maybe even yawning. And slowly moving into a lazy stretch. Roll to one side. Push up to a comfortable seated position. So we'll close with a little pranayama. We use breath of fire to stir things up and to stimulate the sympathetic system. And then alternate nostril breath to bring things into balance. And then we'll sit for just a minute quietly meditating and see if you can feel that state we're looking for, which is alert, full of energy, and yet very calm and still. If you have not practiced these two breathing patterns and aren't sure how to do them, I've got a video on pranayama In fact, I got a whole series of videos on pranayama where I go into detailed instruction. So, starting with breath of fire. About 2 exhales per second. Passive inhale, forced exhale, very small amount of air involved. Continue on your own. If you get lightheaded, just breathe normally. 30 seconds. And then take a complete breath. Notice if the breathing is a little more open and more full. Breath of fire releases blocks in the breathing. Alternate nostril. Any mudra is fine. If you aren't sure, 2 fingers on the third eye, thumb on one side, 2 fingers on the other. Notice which nostril is active, more open, and which one is more passive, more closed. And start off by closing the nostril that's already a little less active and opening on the side that is active. Breathe in through the side that's open and then switch your fingers and exhale through the passive side. Then breathe in through the passive side, switch your fingers and exhale. Continue. All you have to remember is you switch the fingers at the top of the inhale. That's the only place. Breathe in, switch fingers, breathe out. Breathe in, switch fingers, breathe out. Continuing on your own now. Balance the inhale and the exhale, both in the rhythm but also in the quality of your attention. Use less and less pressure with the fingers against the nose with each repetition until you're just touching without pressing on one nostril as you breathe in and on the side of the opposite side of the nose as you breathe out. Continue to practice this without using the hands at all, lowering both hands to your lap. Place your attention on one nostril as you breathe in. Feel the air cool entering through that nostril. Place your attention in the opposite nostril as you exhale and imagine a warm exhale. Gradually letting the pranayama fall away from awareness and notice what remains. The quality of consciousness. And then opening your eyes when you're ready. So, Hatha Yoga, Ha, sun, Tha, moon. Sun and moon, masculine, feminine, Ida, Pingala, or the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, however you frame it. And yoga means to balance, to harness, to control. To be able to balance and control those two energies. So when we meditate, we want those two energies to be in balance. When we're doing something very vigorous or dangerous or that requires warrior energy, strength, courage, then we want to move into the Pingala, into the warrior energy a little bit more deeply. When we're trying to fall asleep at night, we want to err on the side of the feminine, on the relaxation, on the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's not about always being centered, always being balanced. It's about being in control, being able to move in one direction, move in the other direction. And when we're meditating, we want to be balanced evenly between the two states. And yoga gives us the tools through breathing, through posture, through movement, and through just attitude to be able to achieve that goal. With practice, it becomes natural and easy. I'd like to thank you for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful week. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Namaste.